our kids' identity has a whole lot of layers to it. What we need to be really careful about is there's an importance and relevance in having a balance in what their identity is. And I'm going to explain that to you. Too often, whether it's us as adults or our kids find their identity in one thing, whether that be academics, whether that be athletics, whether that be the theater, whatever the heck it is. And interests are awesome. But what we need to do is avoid allowing that. We'll say football, for example. I played football since I was 5 years old. Now I'm 18 years old. I play football, and I'm a football player. And that sounds kind of strange. And okay, whatever. What's the big deal in terms of football or soccer, basketball, art, whatever the heck it is? Well, here's the issue that we have with a lot of kids. For quite a while now. And it's the issue of when that identity is removed from them and they're no longer that specific thing or person. A big one with a lot of our athletes is TBI, traumatic brain injuries, concussions, where they've been playing maybe since they were 5 years old, 10 years old, and now I'm 16. My whole life revolved around volleyball, tennis, soccer, and now I can't play it. And this is where there is absolute correlation with depression, anxiety, and especially I'm going to say the past 5 or 10 years, crazy increase or maybe awareness with the prevalent in concussions, traumatic brain injuries when it comes to sports. And so am I telling you not to have your young person involved in sports? That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is it's finding a balance. Get them multi-interested in life. Well, whether it's, getting them into an art class, getting them into running, working out, whatever the heck it is, going to the gym, taking a canoe class, getting into camping, whatever it is, get them multi-layered in terms of their identity. And yeah, their passion can absolutely be alive and well. But when we kind of build them up on a sense of you are much more than just, an athlete. And I'm going to kind of combine this with the academic aspect of things. You got a 4.0, you got a 3.5, whatever it is. And that young person identifies themselves, and I find my meaning in my academics. And when that kind of might deviate at some point, I get my first B, which happens, or I get my first C. And then it kind of like, to some extent, kind of comes crumbling down. And then as an adult, we might say, well, that's ridiculous. Well, it's not. When we're putting all our eggs in a basket. And I'm not saying we are doing that, but sometimes we do. We're stressing a great amount of our dialogue being focused solely on one thing. Your grades. You're an outstanding, student. You got on the principal's list again. And it's absolutely fine to give accolades. I think that is an awesome thing. But there's more to our kids than just, sometimes we get into this pigeonholing. And I think that can be kind of dangerous because we have things happen in life. Goes ways that we don't always understand, whether our grades kind of shift up or my interests, I get an injury or something happens in life and I am no longer able to identify with this particular title. I think for us to say, well, suck it up and deal with it is one approach, but it's one approach that can kind of backfire without question. When our kids are layered, when our kids find interest in multiple things, and again, passions are totally fine, I think awesome. But when we kind of, we hit at different angles and I'm layered in terms of what I enjoy in life, when and if these traumatic experiences happen when it comes of I am no longer fulfilling this title of whatever it is, insert whatever that title is, it's not as traumatic. It's not as jarring. I have witnessed young people who've had whatever kind of injuries or things happen in life where they're no longer that top in academia world, and it's like their life comes crashing down and I don't know how to deal with it. And some are able to articulate that, and a lot of them aren't. And this is sometimes where you kind of get this, I'm going to say, kind of closet depression, to people self-harming, to maybe a unhealthy pattern of eating habits, whether that's not avoiding eating enough or in excess. And so when we are not in a good place as human beings, and I'm going to kind of beat this down until, forever here at this point, we don't like to not feel good. And when, especially you're dealing with a young person at whatever age they are, middle school, high school age, and their entire being is wrapped up into one thing. And when that one thing unravels, it's kind of putting them in a scary place where they question who they are, they question their identity, they question kind of everything, where they're thinking, my life's over. And I'm not saying this is like insert suicide ideation. That's not what I'm saying. Sometimes it comes into play. But I'm saying it's like everything's crumbling down. Now, where do I go from here? But if we have other factors kind of inserted in there, what their interests are, it's okay. You are an awesome student, but I need you to know at any point that, like, you hit a rough patch. I want you to try your best, but I still love you. And, you're an athlete, but you're a rockin', you made some awesome muffins, to, great game in field hockey, whatever it is. You did a great job helping, dad with the car. They're more than just one thing. And this might seem kind of trivial or strange, but when I tell you how prevalent it is for young people to invest themselves in one specific thing, and even the parents that get caught up in that, it's crazy train. And so it's uncrazy training it, and watching our dialogue and watching our praise, where we praise our kids, but it's not for one specific ongoing same thing constantly, because this is where they kind of get this vibe, or they're hearing, I have to be awesome on the court or in the field, or I have to be perfect up on stage or in the classroom, or whatever it is that they kind of identify, this is what defines me. And when that goes to the wayside, a lot of times they feel like the world's upside down. So being careful what we talk about with our kids, being careful in selecting our praise. Again, it can seem kind of strange, but there's a lot of power in our words. There's a lot of power in our silence. So continue praising, continue encouraging, but allowing them to know it's okay to stumble. It's okay to do something outside of A, B, C, or D. And we want you to try different things. And you're more than just whatever your Jersey or your SAT scores are. Let's keep reinforcing that. That is just really important, because our kids are more than just one thing, just like you and me. All right. Thank you for listening. Moving on to the next video. Keep rocking out. Have a great one.